Hi, this video demonstrates both the FUE and the FUT scar. So FUE versus the FUT. Now both of them can be done, and I do both procedure, the FUE and the FUT. Both technique produce scar. There's no surgery without scar. And the audience want to know what's the scar look like, what's the demonstration, where's the difference. So to explain to the audience these different form of scar. The FUT scar or the strip method will leave you a linear scar, where the FUE scar is scattered all throughout the back of his head and above and below, and you can't see much of the scar. There's the tiny dots, but it's scattered. So the FUE scar is a circular tiny dots and scatter, and you can't really see much of it. The FUT scar is the one with the linear scar or the strip method. And again, I do both the FUE and the FUT, and both of them, the scar can be good. Again, no result are same. Sometimes the result vary from one individual to another. But in general, the FUE scar is very hard to see, and in general, the FUT scar is hard to see too. Unless you shave your head completely, then it becomes visible. But if you live a little bit longer, no one's gonna see that. Although the FUT is a little bit more antiquated, but it still has its place in the present day surgery. The FUT is more the downs. Okay, there's always good and bad with the FUT versus the FUE. Both technique has good and both technique have bad side to it. The good part of the FUT is cheaper. You can move more graft per day, and that's why client with advanced hair loss, class 5, 6, or 7 hair loss, tend to go out for the FUT because you can move 5,000-6,000 grafts per day. Where the FUE, we can only do 2,500 grafts per day. So the FUE we can move less. The FUT is not only move larger number of grafts per day, you reach a goal faster, but it grows 5% better than the FUE. 5% is not a lot. You can't tell the difference in terms of the result. I mean, you compare 95 versus 90% growth rate, or 98 versus 93. It's not much of a difference, and you can't tell the difference. But the result is going to be good with both methods. But the FUT, if you look carefully, is 5% better growth. It's cheaper. But here's the downside of FUT. You're going to have the linear scar for the rest of your life. But again, the scar is small and it's hidden underneath your hair. No one can see unless you shave the head. The other downside of the FUT is not just a linear scar, but it's more invasive, more side effect than the strip method. And you have numbness along the linear scar. You cannot shave your head completely without detectability. Well, then on the other side, the FUE, the benefit of the FUE is tiny dots of scar scattered throughout the back like a mosaic pattern and allow you to wear your hair shorter. And if you look at it, you can't even see the FUE scar, but it's there, but it's hard to see. And the other benefit of the FUE is less invasive, less painful, less bleeding, less chance of infection than the strip method or the FUT. But there's always the downside of the FUT. The downside of FUE. The downside of the FUE, the cost is more expensive. Why? Because more labor. And the growth rate is almost comparable, well, at least with my work, because I'm a FUE specialist. If it's not equal, it's only slightly less, 5% less than the strip method or FUT. So the audience want to know what's the difference between the FUE and FUT scar. And this client has both, and is the best client for me to demonstrate both of the scar. Thank you.